Your nervous system doesn't lie, except when it totally does. Okay, you've probably heard it 1,000 times. The body never lies. The nervous system never lies. False, okay? Even though it's on every wellness podcast, every therapist's Instagram, every yoga teacher's playlist. And honestly, it's one of the most dangerous half-truths in the healing space right now, okay? Because here's the thing that nobody wants to say out loud. Your body absolutely lies. Not on purpose, not maliciously, which we're going to cover today, but it lies the same way a smoke detector lies when it goes off while you're making toast based on outdated information, designed for a different situation, doing exactly what it was built to do, okay? That gut feeling you swear is intuition sometimes isn't truth. Sometimes it's just your trauma talking in a louder voice. And if you can't tell the difference, you're going to keep walking away from green flags, doubling down on red ones, and calling it trusting yourself. Ask me how I know this, okay? I've been there, people. Trust me. And by the way, who am I? I'm Cody. Okay, I've got a degree in cognitive neuroscience. I'm trained in a trauma therapy called internal family systems, and I study this stuff for a freaking living. Okay, over 1 million women trust me to help them navigate breakups and heartbreak to prepare them for modern dating because I say the hard things, but I do it with love and I do it with science. Okay, so let's dive into this one. So what's actually going on here? The system we've got to understand a lot better is called Neuroception. It is a term coined by trauma researcher Dr. Stephen Porges. Look him up. Okay. It's the unconscious surveillance system your body runs 24/7 to detect safety, danger, or something life-threatening in your environment. Unlike just general perception, which is pretty conscious and thoughtful, neuroception happens beneath awareness. You don't choose it. You don't even notice it most of the time, but it is quietly running the show. Your behavior, your vibes, your gut feelings, who feels safe to text back, who ghosts you without knowing why. Okay. So it sounds like it's trustworthy, right? The only issue with blindly trusting this neuroception, though, is that it's built from your past experience, not the present moment, okay? And your brain doesn't passively read the world like a camera. It predicts it actively, okay? So to understand this, again, it's way easier to think of your brain more like a weather app, not a camera. Okay, so just imagine just for a second that instead of capturing reality like a camera would, it's more like forecasting it like a weather app would do. Okay, so it doesn't show you what is. It gives you its best guess about what's probably happening based on past patterns plus current cues. This is the essence of predictive processing theory in neuroscience, one of my personal favorites. Okay, it's the idea that your brain runs on something called Bayesian inference. Okay, and this is an overly fancy term for a fairly simple concept, in my humble opinion. Okay, your brain is constantly updating its predictions based on new evidence. Nothing too crazy, okay? The problem, though, is that trauma corrupts this prediction model. So if your past is full of environments where safe people weren't actually safe, emotionally unavailable parents, partners who flipped on a dime, love that came with conditions, your brain now runs predictions based on that data set. So when a guy shows up calm, consistent, emotionally available, crazy, I know, it exists, your nervous system doesn't read that as finally. It reads it as suspicious. It's boring. It's off. That's not him. Think about that. The smoke detector analogy from earlier is like the cleanest way to kind of picture this. If your kitchen smoke detector went off every time you made some toast and burnt it a little bit, guilty, you don't assume your house is on fire, right? You know that the system is a little bit hypersensitive. But when your nervous system does the same thing, panicking in safe situations, going numb around emotionally available men, telling you something feels off, when the guy who's actually shows up, it feels like a red alert that you can't question. So trauma turns your neuroception into that overactive smoke alarm. And it's not because it's broken. It's because it's trying to protect you from the people who should have been safe and weren't. Okay, so your gut feeling might not be intuition. It might be an echo of a wound that you never fully processed. And before anyone thinks that I'm preaching from some mountaintop, like I don't struggle with this too, false. I totally do. Okay, after my most recent breakup, I came across something on social media, a video, like a reel or something, of a couple on a couch. The girlfriend was crying and the boyfriend was holding her, asking what's wrong. Like it was almost identical to the night my last relationship ended. It was bizarre. And within seconds, my chest was tight, my hands were shaking, there were tears in my eyes, and my whole nervous system was flooded. This was a social media video on a screen about strangers. But my neuroception, that this portion of my cognition, it didn't know that. It doesn't know that. It just matched the pattern and pulled the alarm. And that's what we're working with. That's how powerful and how inaccurate this system can be. Because I wasn't in that moment again. It just, all of the sensory cues coming into me made me feel like that. And based on what happened in my personal past, right, it ran that prediction model. And the work here isn't about silencing what's going on. It's about learning when to listen and when to lovingly tell it, thank you, you, but I've got it for here, okay? But Cody, didn't you say that we could trust our gut? Yes. And also no, right? I've written an entire blog on the neuroscience of intuition where I kind of break down the difference between intuition, instinct, insight, and neuroception, or just general perception. So let's just clean this up a little bit. I'm not going to go fully in depth. I'll drop that blog in the description below if you want to go read that more in depth, because it's where most people kind of get tangled, is in these words. So let's just cover them really briefly. So insight is what arrives after reflection generally. It feels clear and sometimes surprising, but calm. It comes when you slow down enough to actually see the pattern. Oh, I keep dating men who need me to fix them, as an example. Might be an insight you come to. Intuition, though, is fast. It's experience-based. It's specific, oftentimes. It's a pattern recognition from 1,000 previous data points. A nurse who knows a patient is crashing before the monitor says so. A woman who knows her friend is lying without quite knowing how. Intuition can be sharpened over time if your data set is clean. It's an important distinction we'll cover here in a second, okay? Instinct is the other one. This is automatic, survival-based, and rigid, okay? It doesn't care about context. Your hand recoiling from a stove, a body bracing when a door slams, right? Neuroception runs underneath all of this, and it's especially shaped by trauma. It doesn't come with a label telling you when it's right or wrong. It just feels true. The easiest little cheat sheet for this is if your gut feeling is clear, calm, and specific, likely an intuition or an insight. If your gut feeling is vague, global, and kind of panicky, something is wrong, but I can't say what, it could be a neuroceptive misfire. This portion of your nervous system kind of misfiring and mislabeling something. If your gut feeling, the one that we're talking about here, shows up the second a healthy man does something good, texts you when he says he will, holds space without flinching, doesn't pull away when you're messy, that is rarely intuition, okay? That's a younger part of you saying, I don't recognize this, so it must not be safe. That's not your truth. That is your history, okay? So what do you do with a nervous system that is lying to you? I am so glad you asked, imaginary listener, that I talk to you in my mind as I make these videos. The number one tool I can teach my clients to use, and that I use myself, is learning to detect and unblend from your parts, okay? In internal family systems, or IFS psychotherapy, your parts are protective sub-personalities running your reactions and these coping and protective mechanisms. Your protectors, which IFS calls managers and firefighters. You don't have to worry about that. I wrote a whole blog on IFS if you want to learn more about the actual words. But for right now, just know that the two types of protectors IFS considers are managers and firefighters. They're working overtime to keep you away from your exiles, which is the third type of part IFS talks about. And these are your younger, more vulnerable parts that are holding on to unresolved pain. Fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of being humiliated, betrayed, discarded, being too much, right? Those are all exiled emotions that we shove down and our protectors guard us from. Okay. When a part takes over, that's when it's driving the bus. Okay. And when it's driving the bus, you're completely blended with an anxious part. You stop feeling like a part of me is anxious and you start to think I am anxious. There's a difference between a part of me is anxious and I am anxious. A part of me is sad and I am sad. One is a part of you and separate and unblended from you. And then this other thing that you can talk to. The other is when it blends over the top of you and becomes you. That is what blending in IFS talks about. The part is completely taken over your feelings, thoughts, actions, beliefs, behaviors, everything. And it could be a manager, a firefighter, exile. Okay. You've felt this, right? When you get so anxious about a text he hasn't returned that you can't focus on anything else, or you spiral into a he doesn't want me story before your prefrontal cortex even has a chance to weigh in. Okay. You feel certain that something is wrong, even though nothing has actually happened yet. Okay. One of my clients describes it being blended. She describes it as like slime being pushed into a carpet. It completely covers every fiber and is nearly impossible to unstick. Okay, that's what blending can kind of feel like when you're so blended with these parts. And the gut feelings that come from a blended part, that's not your wisdom, it's your wound, specifically the wound they're guarding, or it could be your wound reacting and like erupting up, right? Because we shove them down, but when that abandonment comes up, it comes up big, or any other wound. Okay, so these are the signals you need to take a beat with before you text him, before you canceled the date, before you decide that he's just off. Okay, so what do you do when you're blended? It's a great question, right? Would you believe me if I told you there's a way to unblend from your parts, right? Okay, so let's talk some IFS. We'll talk about unblending because there is literally 3 steps. Exactly how to unblend from your parts in 3 steps, okay? This is literally one of the top 3 tools in IFS. And once you learn this, your relationship will never be the same with your parts and with people outside of you. So let's get super practical here, okay? So unblending, step number 1 is you got to name it without shaming it. The shift is really subtle but powerful, and I've already done it a couple times without you probably even noticing. So it's the moving from I am anxious to a part of me is anxious. That's a big, huge intellectual move that people don't realize how powerful it is. until they try it and get really good at it. So try language like, a part of me is feeling panicked right now, or there's a part of me that doesn't trust this situation, or I notice a protective part that's sure something bad is about to happen. Okay, this is not word games. It's neuroscience. The moment you name a part, you're activating your prefrontal cortex, your salience network, your executive control network, all these beautiful networks that give you some more agency, and it's creating distance between yourself, who you truly are, and the feeling and this part of you. Okay, you're not fused anymore. You're yourself, and the part is a part. It's not avoidance. That is perspective that allows you to do different things. Okay, so that's step one. Step two is you got to get curious, not controlling. Okay, so once there's some space, once you've unblended from this part a little bit, and now you've got some space between yourself, who you really are, core self, and this part of you. Okay, what you got to do now is get curious with the part, like you're getting to know a scared little girl or a hypervigilant bodyguard who's been working a long, lonely shift. Okay, so try asking things like, what are you afraid would happen if you didn't sound the alarm right now? Or how long have you been trying to protect me from this in this way? Or what do you want me to understand? Or how old do you think I am right now? That's a really good one. Okay, most parts react the way they do because they're trying to keep you safe using outdated information from a much younger you. Okay, they don't know you're 34, 35, whatever, right? They don't know that you can handle hard conversations now. They don't know your nervous system has more capacity now. They don't know these things. They need you to update them. They are acting as if you are a helpless child because that's when they took on this role. That's when they took on this protective role to keep you safe. So they need some help. They need to be updated. And this gives, once parts are updated on these things, their perspective often changes very rapidly. So that's step two. Step three is you got to ask for some space. Okay, if the part is really flooding you hard and is unwilling to come unblend a little bit, you just got to kindly ask it to step back, right? So that yourself can lead. So try saying things like, hey, thank you so much for trying to help. Could you give me just a little bit of space to kind of assess what's going on? Or, I hear you and I see you. Thank you so much for being here. Could you step back just enough for me to see this, if this is actually dangerous or if it just feels that way? Okay, so you're not trying to exile the part here. You're not silencing it. You're inviting it to shift from a protector to an advisor, right? And just step back a little bit, just for a couple minutes while you inspect from yourself, okay? And just share with it some courage and confidence from yourself as you do this. Most parts are relieved when yourself shows up to lead. Okay, they've been doing the job that they were never meant to do and carrying things they were never meant to carry for this long, for a very freaking long time. So once you've unblended, you'll notice what's underneath the part the entire time. This is always a really interesting point when I first unblend someone from a part, right? IFS calls it self energy. Dr. Amy Appigan calls it calm aliveness. I just call it freaking home, dude. It feels calm, clear, connected, compassionate, curious, confident, creative, courageous. IFS calls these the 8 C's of self. It's the things that you'll feel underneath your parts, is who you really are fundamentally. Okay, they're always there. Synonyms of these words, whether it's calm or peace, right? Anything that could be artistic versus creative, like assured versus confident, like the synonyms of the 8 C's, but that's who you really are. Okay, you will feel grounded, but you won't feel flat. You'll feel open, but not naive, aware, but not afraid. This is the place worth making relationship decisions from the self-led place, the self-energy, calm, alive place, not from the part that thinks every text means abandonment, not from the part that needs to overfunction to feel safe, not from the part that's certain that the calm guy is boring because the chaotic one felt like home. Okay, from self, not from your parts. It's the difference between being self-led and parts-led. There's a big, big difference, and that's a huge distinction that we work on in IFS, obviously. So if you're making these decisions from self every time, right, you're going to be making a lot better decisions. And the best part is that self-energy is always with you, like I mentioned. Okay, it's not something you have to build. You don't earn it. You just have to unblend enough to feel it again. Okay, and here's the part that I love. Every time you unblend and make a self-led choice that contradicts your nervous system's prediction, you trigger something called a prediction error. Okay, your brain expected danger, you stayed, and nothing bad happened. Your brain expected him to disappear, he didn't. Your brain expected the calm to feel boring, but it started to feel safe. These prediction errors are actual mechanisms of change in your brain. Okay, through things called memory reconsolidation and extinction learning, your nervous system slowly, painstakingly updates its model. Okay, the smoke detector recalibrates. The boring guy starts to feel like home. Your window of tolerance widens. This is how a lying nervous system learns to tell the truth again. Not through more healing content, not through more insight, through repeated experiences of choosing differently while staying connected to yourself. Okay, the reps may be small and they may be unsexy, but they are how you actually grow and build intimacy. Okay, I promise you, your gut can become wise again. Your nervous system is not your enemy. Your brain is not your enemy. It's just been overworked, overwhelmed, and trying to protect protect you using outdated maps from places you do not live anymore, okay? From a time that you don't exist in anymore, from at an age that you aren't anymore. But the moment you learn to pause, unblend, and lead from yourself, your authentic self, you start rewriting the freaking rules neurologically, not just metaphysically, like literally. You stop letting old fears run your relationships. You interrupt the cycle of false alarms, and you teach your nervous system something it desperately needs to learn. Safety can feel safe again. Okay, this isn't about never feeling fear. It's about learning which signals are wisdom and which are ghosts. Because when your system is calm and yourself is in the lead, your gut does become wise. Intuition sharpens, insight deepens, and you move through dating with clarity instead of reactivity. You become the leader your nervous system has always been waiting for. And that changes literally everything. I believe in you, right? You can do this. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Do it now so you never miss a video. And if you want to go deeper on any of these topics or some of the other things that I talked about, you'd love my Substack. Check it out in the description below. You've got this. Again, I believe in you. You can do this. Have an awesome one. Peace.